everyone's okay. Welcome to my spare bedroom. So for today's class we're going to be working on a full body stretch mainly. There's quite a lot of hip stuff. We're focusing on, it's quite a slow class today, so we're going to think about moving with control, moving with the core, so there's quite a lot of abdominal work. You might need pillow to sit on because we're going to start seated. And it's also quite useful to have a couple of big books nearby, so anything like Harry Potter books or just anything that resembles a yoga brick or a yoga block. You might not need it, but there's a couple of positions where we're kneeling down in the lunge, so if you can't quite reach the floor with your hands, I prefer to use a block anyway, just give you a little bit of height to be able to lift your chest up. So when you're ready, get yourselves into a comfortable seated position. I'll start in a couple of minutes. We're going to start cross legs. If it's uncomfortable, sit with your legs crossed. And you can sit on your knees in a kneeling position or come and lay on your back instead. You might also want to grab a blanket for Shavasana if you've not got one already. So if you've only just put it on, make sure that you've got a pillow to sit on if you want to for the beginning of the class. I like to sit on a pillow just because it gives yourself a little bit of elevation so your knees don't feel quite as high, the knees can drop lower than the hips. Two big books or yoga blocks if you've got them, about the size of this. You could use a rolled up towel if you don't have any big books, or like a rolled up blanket, just anything that allows you to get off the ground a little bit more, so just that little bit of extra elevation for your hands. And we'll start in a comfortable seated position, so you can either start sat down, legs crossed, or come and lay on your backs, or come and sit on your knees, whichever is the most comfortable for you. We'll be there for a couple of minutes, so make sure that it's comfy. I'll just give it about 30 seconds and then we will get going. So get yourselves into either a cross-legged position. If your knees are coming up higher than your hips, or if you feel like you're sinking into the lower back quite a lot, so if you're leaning back and using your hands to keep that upright, just place a pillow or a couple of books underneath your sit bones, just give yourself a little bit of elevation, and that should hopefully allow the knees to sink down a little bit lower so that the knees can move lower than the hips. Let's make a start. So when you've found your comfortable position, whether it's seated, laying down or on your knees, shrug the shoulders up to the ears and then send them all the way down and back. We'll do that one more time wherever you are. Just bring the shoulders up to the ears and then send them all the way down. If you're laying on your back, then just stay exactly as you are for this next few movements. We're just going to start to warm up the shoulder blades. So if you're seated, just bring your arms all the way up overhead. So really lengthen the arms up towards the sky. Spread the fingertips wide. And think about drawing the shoulders down away from the ears. Start to turn on that core, so belly button pulls back towards the spine, just to stop your chest from flaring forwards. You're keeping this abdominal area tight and squeezed in. Take an inhale here, just see if you can reach the hands up a little bit more. And as you exhale, bend the elbows, bring the hands into this cactus position. Again, spread the fingertips wide. The elbows want to be in line with the shoulders. Squeeze the shoulder blades together. So So imagine you're trying to hold a pencil in between the shoulder blades, so you're really squeezing those muscles together. Again, just try not to arch the lower back, keep this core really tight, turned on, you're squeezing the belly button back towards the spine. Take an inhale, bring the hands all the way up one last time, reach the hands up high. Try and draw the shoulder blades down. If you need to just take the hands up and a little bit wider, then that should help just to shrug the shoulder blades down a little bit more. Take one more inhale here, reach the hands up higher. And as you exhale, bring the hands together, press the palms together. Hands come down through the heart center. And then place the hands either just in the middle of the heart space or bring the hands down onto the knees. And just start to close the eyes wherever you are. So we'll just use this next couple of minutes to start to get used to being on the mat, just to get used to our breath and our body, just to give ourselves a little check-in. So just give yourself a quick body scan. So we always start like this. So we'll start with the crown of the head and the face. So see if you can just start to soften the face, especially the little muscles in between the eyebrows. And softening the eyes. So just check whether your eyes are quite active behind the eyelids. If they are, just see if you can start to still them. So try not to look from left to right. Just find something that's still and keep your gaze there, and then start to close the eyes. And we'll just move down the body like that. So moving on to your jaw. Maybe just clench the jaw, squeeze the teeth together, and then relax. And just checking that you're not holding any tension in the jaw. If it helps, you can just open the jaw slightly. And just checking in with your shoulders. So see if you can let the shoulders be heavy. And you want to think about sending the shoulders down. Try not to keep the shoulders up towards the ears. And then just bring your attention to your rib cage. So just notice the breath moving in and out of the rib cage. Maybe noticing that expansion on the inhales. And just see what's happening with the spine. So see if you start to sink down into the lower back as you're starting to relax. If you have, just see if you can sit up a little bit taller. So you're trying to send the crown of the head up towards the ceiling. You're really trying to sit up onto both sit bones. It's quite easy to sink into the lower back when we spend quite a lot of time sat down at a desk. So this probably feels quite unnatural, but you can use the muscles in the abdominal area to keep yourself sitting really tall. Just pull the belly button back towards the spine slightly, and that'll support the spine. And then just checking in with the hips. Just notice any sensations in the hips. See if you can relax them. And finally the legs and the arms. So just notice if there's any restlessness in the legs or the arms. If there is, just see if you can start to bring some stillness to them. Allowing the hands and the feet to be heavy wherever they are. Maybe noticing if their hands are twitching, if their feet are twitching. And then just start to notice the breath moving around the body. So you don't need to change it just yet. Just start to notice whereabouts you can feel it. Whether it is in your ribcage or whether you couldn't even feel anything there. Maybe it's in your nose, chest, throat, belly. Shoulder blades might rise and shrug down as you breathe. Noticing the length of the breath. So maybe it's quite fast, maybe it's quite short, maybe it's quite deep, maybe it's quite shallow. There's no right or wrong way of breathing. It'll differ throughout the day, throughout the time of the day. So just check in, just notice. Noticing whether the inhales are longer than the exhales or if the exhales are longer than the inhales. Maybe you can notice the temperature of the breath coming in through the nose. So we're just observing the breath passing through the body. You breathe every day, every second of every day, so we'll just use this time to notice it, which we don't usually do. And in your own time, we'll start to lengthen the breath. So start to draw in a bit more air with every inhale. And with your exhale, just allow every last drop of air to flow back out of the body. With your inhales, don't be afraid of filling up the belly with air, so kind of create this big Buddha belly. As the air moves into the belly and then maybe moves up the spine, into the chest, into the throat, into the rib cage. And with your exhales, just relax everything, just let all the breath go. So it might be quite hard at first to get that long breath, those long inhales and long exhales, so just give it a couple of goes, and then the more you get used to it, see if you can lengthen it even more. It might help to count the breath, so if you count in 3s, 4s, 5s, 6s, and trying to get the exhales just as long as the inhales, if not longer. So if we can slow down those exhales, that is what activates the parasympathetic nervous system, so that's that sense of feeling more relaxed. If you feel anxious, stressed at any time, then just coming back to this slow rhythm of breath. It's the opposite of fight or flight, so it should help you feel a little bit more at ease, slow things down a little bit. We'll stay here for about 5 more rounds of breath, so really make these next 5 rounds of breath your longest ones. With every inhale, now start to think about sitting up a little bit taller. So trying to send the crown of the head up towards the sky, getting that length in through the spine. And with your exhales, think about bringing a sense of relaxation to the body, so shoulders become heavy, the face relaxes. But try to keep that length in the spine. Stay with those slow breaths, try not to let it speed up. We'll take another 2 rounds of breath, so make these last 2 the longest ones that you've done. If you start to feel lightheaded with the heavy breathing, then just come back to your natural breath and then see if you can pick it back up again. We'll take 1 more full inhale. And on your next exhale, just start to blink the eyes open. If you were laying down on your back, then just make your way either to sit on your knees or to sit cross legs. If you're sat with your legs crossed, then stay exactly as you are. We're just going to start with a couple of twists to wake up the spine. So place the right hand onto the right knee and just use that right hand as a lever to twist your left shoulder towards the back of the room. The left hand can just place behind you. If you want a little bit more, then you can place the right hand onto the left knee, so you're crossing over the body. And again, use that right hand just to twist your left shoulder backwards a little bit more. Your gaze can start to twist over that left shoulder as well, but you want most of this twist to come from the middle spine. So imagine you're starting with the lumbar spine, you're starting to twist from the lower spine, and and then it moves into the upper back, and then the neck is only a tiny little twist over that left shoulder. Try not to lose that breath, so stick with those long inhales and those long exhales. Slowly making your way back through centre. We'll do the same thing on the other side. So this time place the left hand onto the left knee, and then just use that hand to twist your right shoulder backwards to the back of the mat. Right hand can just come onto the fingertips behind that right shoulder. For a little bit more, just cross that left hand over so it's taking hold of the right knee, and then again use that left hand, press into the right knee, and just twist your right shoulder to the back of the room. Trying to keep a long spine, so try not to lean into the back hand, try not to slump into the lower spine. Finding your breath here. And then slowly come back through to the centre. Just place both hands behind you on the mat. We're just going to start to walk the fingertips backwards, and at the same time send the chest forward. This is going to bring a stretch into the front of the body, across the chest, maybe into the upper arms as well. So as you're sending your chest forward, you're walking the fingertips backwards. You've got this arch in the lower spine. And we'll hold it here for about 3 breaths. So hopefully you can feel it's quite a deep stretch across the top of the shoulder blades into the upper arms. And then slowly start to walk the hands back towards your legs. If you had any cushions, any props, then you feel free to keep them. If not, pop them to one side. We're going to bring our legs into 2 90-degree angles. So we'll start with the right leg in front. So both knees are bent, and both legs have got a 90-degree angle in them. So the right shin is in line with the left thigh. Then the left ankle is in line with the left knee. So hopefully you can see my legs okay. Place both fingertips alongside the right thigh. We're going to try to press the left sit bone down into the mat. If you need to grab a pillow, just to give yourself a little bit of extra elevation here, then you can do, because this is quite a weird sensation. So think about pressing the left butt cheek down in towards the mat. So you're trying to sit into that left sit bone. The right knee is going to want to rise up, but see if you can keep pressing that right knee down. At the same time, you're trying to sit your left butt cheek down into the mat as well. Keep both hands alongside that right leg. We won't be here for too long. With an inhale, keeping the length in the spine, bring both hands up overhead. You can either stay here with the hands apart or interlace the fingers and then press the hands up towards the sky. Try and send the arms back past the ears. Keep sending the shoulder blades down. With an inhale, see if you can reach the hands up even higher. And as you exhale, allow that left butt cheek to come off the mat as you fold forwards over the right leg. So here we're testing that abdominal strength. It's quite easy to just sink into this stretch, but because we've got our arms up overhead, it makes it quite a lot harder. We will inhale, come all the way up to the centre. As you exhale, do this one more time, keeping the arms up overhead, just folding over that right thigh. You should feel this in that right hip. Inhale, coming all the way up through to centre. Release the hands, frame the right thigh with the hands. Take an inhale, sit up really tall. And as you exhale, just start to walk the hands forwards over that right leg this time. So we're taking a little bit of a deeper stretch. Have a play around with the position of this stretch. You should feel this somewhere along the hips, possibly into the right hip, maybe into the left hip as well. It might mean that you need to shuffle your chest to the right, to the left, maybe moving that right foot forwards a little bit if you can't feel the stretch. Try and keep that length in the spine, so try not to allow the back to round. Keep leading with the chest, so really creating that long sensation in the spine. We'll take one more inhale here. And as you exhale, just start to walk the hands back towards the legs. Pivot the knees around so they're the other direction, so the left leg is in front this time. Again, feel free to place pillows, blankets underneath the sit bones. If if you need that little bit of extra elevation. So check that you've got two 90-degree angles with the legs. Left shin parallel with the right thigh. Right ankle is parallel or in line with the right knee. Both fingertips are going to frame that left thigh, and then we're going to try and send that right sit bone down into the mat. So you're almost leaning back into the right butt cheek. At the same time, that left knee is going to want to rise up, but think about drawing that left knee down towards the mat. This is really going to get into the internal rotation of that right leg. So if you do quite a lot of squatting, this is a really good drill to work on mobility for squats. With an inhale, bring your hands up overhead. From here, either keeping the hands as they are or interlace the hands and then send the hands up towards the sky. Try and keep the shoulder blades down and think about trying to send your biceps back past the ears. With an inhale, lengthen up through the spine. And with an exhale, we're going to allow that right butt cheek to peel off the mat and to start to lean forward into that left leg. So you might not even need to lean very far forwards until you can start to feel that sensation in the left hip. With an inhale, come all the way up to center. We'll do that one more time. As you exhale, fold forwards over that left thigh. Feel that left thigh start to turn on. Inhale, coming all the way up. Frame the left legs with the fingertips. And we'll just start to walk the hands forward. So we come into a little bit of a deeper stretch here. Trying to keep that length in the spine, so no rounding, just to get a little bit deeper. It's fine if you're quite far away from that leg, as long as you've got a long spine and you can feel the stretch somewhere in the hips. If you can't feel the stretch, have a play around with the positioning of the chest, so you might just need to shuffle over to the right. You might just need to move that left foot forwards a little bit more. Don't worry if it feels quite stiff. We have been laid in bed for however many hours, so it's bound to feel a little bit tight. If you do this again later on in the evening, you'll probably find it a little bit easier. Take one more inhale and then start to walk the hands back towards your legs. Move any cushions out of the way. We're just going to windmill the knees from left to right, so trying to keep the legs in that 90-90 shape, just rocking from one side and then rocking to the other side. If it's quite hard doing it without the hands, then just place the hands behind your back and then use the hands as a little bit of support so that you can really rock the legs from side to side, trying to get the knees down each time you come into the centre. We'll just take another two on each side. So just warming up the hips. And then when you're finished, take the legs out wide, find yourself a straddle stretch. So the legs are in this V position. If you had cushions, you might need to grab them again and just pop them underneath your sit bones. Again, if the lower back is collapsing, if the knees are quite high, then just place books, cushions underneath your bum. Just place your hands underneath the legs. So you're just placing the hands around the hamstrings. We're going to use the hands to draw the skin, the fleshy bit of skin from underneath the legs towards the front of the mat, and then this is going to start to externally rotate that femur. So you're trying to send the toes backwards, the legs are starting to roll backwards. Sitting up really tall, with an inhale, bring the hands up overhead. You can either keep the hands like this or interlace the fingers, push the ground, the hands up towards the sky. Inhale, lengthen up through the spine, and as you exhale, it's going to start to tilt forwards over the legs. So try not to let the femur roll forwards. Keep sending the femur backwards. So they're trying to let the legs roll backwards. The feet are flexed, the quads are active. With an inhale, come all the way up through center. We're going to do that one more time. As you exhale, we're reaching forwards over the legs, trying to keep the spine nice and long. So try not to bend the back so that you can get the hands further forward to keep lifting up with the chest. Keep breathing. One more inhale here. And then coming all the way up through to center. Drop the hands down. We'll do the same thing with the hands flat on the mat this time. So with an inhale, sit up really tall. And with an exhale, just start to walk the hands forward. So you're stretching the inside of the legs. It might be enough of a stretch even for you just to sit up into this stretch like this. because it is quite an intense stretch for the hips, for the hamstrings. So just take it easy, just do what feels good for your body. If you're quite flexible, then you can just use your hands down the legs to help drive your chest forwards towards the ground a little bit more. But again, try not to lose that length in the back. See if you can connect back in with that breath. And then slowly start to walk the hands back towards the centre. Place your hands underneath your legs and then use your hands to bring your knees up towards your chest. We're going to find a little bit of abdominal work. So place the soles of the feet flat onto the mat, the knees are bent. Bring your hands alongside the legs and really reach the chest up. From here, start to come onto the tiptoes of both feet. You can either keep the tiptoes down, or to make this harder, start to lift the legs up off the mat. So I've said this millions of times, but try not to collapse into the lower back, so you're really lengthening the spine. The chest is moving forward, knees are squeezing together, and we're breathing. So this is going to target the hip flexors, abdominal area. From here, start to lengthen out the legs and bring your lower back down towards the mat into low boat pose. Take an inhale here. As you exhale, coming all the way back up into high boat pose. Inhale into this. And as you exhale, we're going to move straight back down into that low boat pose. So extend the legs out long, bring the lower back down towards the mat. Inhale into it here. As you exhale, coming up into boat pose. Inhaling here. Exhaling into low boat pose. I think you can see where we're going. So try and stay with the breath. Inhale into your low boat. Exhale, coming all the way up high. Inhale in here. We've got 3 more. Exhale, coming into your low boat. If you want a little bit more, you can start to send the hands up overhead. Inhale here. Exhale, coming up, high boat. Last 2. Inhale here. Exhale, extend the legs forward. If you want, take the hands up overhead. Inhale in here. Exhale, coming up into high boat. Last time, inhale here. As you exhale, extend the legs out long. Take the hands up overhead. Last big inhale into the stretch. Stretch, abdominal work. And then as you exhale, coming up into your high boat, rolling down onto your back, hug the knees into the chest and just release the abdominal muscles. So just start to rock from side to side. Massaging the lower back into the mat. From here, we're going to make our way straight into a plank position. So if you just want to use your hands and your legs to get there, you can. If not, place the hands behind the legs. Just start to rock forwards and backwards a couple of times, bringing yourself all the way through your tabletop position and then shooting the legs out behind, finding a high plank position. Now it's up to you whether you keep the knees off the mat or whether you drop your knees down for this first one. Really press into the hands, done between the shoulder blades, squeeze your bum. Make sure that your lower back isn't collapsing, so really engage the abdominal muscles. You're trying to round the spine, so the hips are in line with the shoulders pretty much. You're really pressing, hollowing out the belly. You can either stay here or start to hover the right tiptoes an inch off the mat, so a tiny, tiny bit off the mat. Try and keep the hips and the shoulders stacked, so try not to move around with the hips and the shoulders. And then drop that right foot down, this time with the left tiptoes. Hover the left tiptoes an inch off the mat. And then drop the left tiptoes down. Either keeping the knees off or on the mat. Lower the hips and chest down to the mat at the same time. Keep the elbows tucked in. Untuck the toes. As you inhale, just shuffle the forearms forward. Lift up the chest. So we're stretching off that abdominal work that we've just done. Keep the shoulders down. As you exhale, bring the chest back down towards the mat. Hands are underneath the elbows, the toes tuck under. We press up into a plank position and then send the hips up into your first downward facing dog. So just pedal the legs, walk the dog, find a little bit of movement for this first one. Giving the head a little nod, picking up each foot at a time, bending the knees. Just make sure that your hands are as wide as your shoulders and your feet are as wide as the hips, if not wider. Let the head be heavy. And we'll start to find some stillness in this downward facing dog. So we're going to be coming here quite a few times today. If you need to at any point, just take the knees out wide, feet together, and bring your bum back towards your feet in a child's position. Looking in between your hands, come up onto the tiptoes, bend the knees. Step, hop, walk or jump the feet in between the hands at the front of the mat. Inhale, halfway lift, so either coming onto the shins or the thighs. Really lengthen the spine, chest is moving forward. Your gaze is just at the top of the mat, so you're just looking over your nose. Take one more inhale here. As you exhale, just fold a little bit deeper, so try not to lose that length in the spine. You can bend the knees if you need. Hands can either come down towards the mat or take hold of the legs. Inhale, come up halfway, lengthening the spine. Exhale, fold in a little bit deeper. We'll do that one more time. Inhale, coming up halfway, really lengthening the chest forward. Exhale, forward fold. Place both hands alongside the feet. Step or jump back to a plank position. Hips and chest low down to the mat at the same time. Keep the elbows tucked in. Untuck the toes. Inhale, either coming onto the forearms to lift up the chest, or coming into your cobra or upward dog, hands underneath the shoulders, press into the mat, lift up the chest. You can keep the elbows bent, keep squeezing your bum. Exhale, bring the chest down towards the mat, tuck the toes under, lift up the thighs, screw the elbows in, pressing up through plank into downward facing dog. Take 5 breaths here, let the head be heavy, spread the hands wide. Downward dog is a great stretch for the calves, the hamstrings, the shoulder blades. If you were in your child's position, just make your way into a downward facing dog. With an inhale, reach the right leg up high, 3-legged dog. As you exhale, bend the right knee, sweep the right foot towards the right elbow. So really think about hollowing out the belly, shoulders are stacked over the wrists, and then we're going to place the right foot down alongside the right hand at the front of the mat, either using the momentum to swing it through, or just using your hand to pull that right foot forwards. Drop the left knee down. With an inhale, bring both hands up towards the sky. As you exhale, cactus the hands, squeeze the shoulder blades together, so the elbows are coming in line with the shoulders. So really squeeze your bum, tuck the sit bones under, so you're trying to point your bum down towards the ground. This is going to bring a stretch into that left hip flexor. Tuck the left toes under and start to lift that left leg off the mat. Inhale here. As you exhale, start to bend the left knee. The left knee is going to meet the mat a tiny bit, so it's going to kiss the mat. And then slowly bring that left leg all the way back up to standing. We're going to do 3 more like that. So really start to move slowly. Slowly dropping that left knee, down towards the mat. Just taps the mat. And then we slowly bring that left knee all the way back up again. This is going to burn. Slowly dropping that left knee down. Keep squeezing the bum. The left knee just taps the mat. And then we bring it slowly all the way up. Last time. Moving slowly, dropping that left knee down towards the mat. Keep breathing. The left knee then comes all the way up. Drop the left heel down at a 45-degree angle and then open up the arms into your warrior 2 position. So for your warrior 2, the right knee is bent. The right knee is bent, left leg is straight, right heel is in line with the left toes. Really squeeze your bum, activate the arms. Take your gaze over that right hand. Excuse me. So it's going to start to move around in this stretch. So with your inhale, straighten that right leg. Keep the thighs squeezed. And as you exhale, start to bend that right knee forwards. And at the same time, try and send that right knee out towards the right as well. 3 more like that. Inhale, straighten that right leg. As you exhale, bending into the right knee, sending it out and right. 2 more. Inhale, Straighten that right leg, keep the arms active. Exhale, bending into that right knee. Last time, inhale, lifting up the right knee. Exhale, bending into your warrior two, holding it here. We're going to windmill the hands down towards the mat. Step the right foot back to meet the left foot at the back of the mat. Hips and chest low down to the mat at the same time. Untuck the toes, inhale, lift up the chest. Exhale, bring the chest down towards the mat, tuck the toes under. Lift the thighs, squeeze the elbows in, pressing up into your downward facing dog. Inhale, lift up the left leg this time, three-legged dog. As you exhale, crunch the left knee towards the left elbow, and then slowly place that left foot down to replace the left hand at the front of the mat, either sweeping it through or use the hand just to pull that left foot through. Drop the right knee down. We inhale, come all the way up to the center. Exhale, cactus the hands, pull the elbows down. Pull the elbows down? Yeah, pull the elbows down in line with the shoulders. Squeeze the bum, point your bum down. Really get that sensation, that stretch in that right hip flexor at the front of that right leg. Tuck the right toes under and lift that right leg off the mat. We inhale here. As we exhale, slowly lower that right knee down until it taps the mat. And then slowly bring that right knee all the way up, back to standing. 3 more like that. Lowering that right knee down. Keep the hands wide, spread the fingers. Bringing that right knee all the way up. Last 2. Slowly lowering that right knee down. The knee taps the mat, and then we bring it all the way back up to the center. Last one. My legs are shaking like mad. Oh, yours are too. Right knee taps the mat, and then we bring it all the way up, back to the center. Drop that right heel down, open up the arms, warrior 2 on the left side. So that left leg is bent, right leg is straight. Left heel in line with the right toes. Really activate the arms. Take your gaze over the left hand. With an inhale, straighten that left leg. And as you exhale, bend the left leg forwards, and at the same time send it out to the left as well. Inhale, coming through to standing. Exhale, bend the left knee, send the left knee out to the left. 2 more, try and keep the arms up, inhale. Exhale to bend. Last one, inhale, coming up. Exhaling to bend that left knee. See if you can bend a little bit deeper this time. Windmill the hands down towards the mat. Step the left foot back to meet the right foot. And then just send the hips straight up, either into a downward facing dog, or take a child's pose, knees out wide, feet together. Bring the chest down towards the mat. We'll take 5 breaths wherever you are before we move on to the next thing. So see if you can slow the breath down. Maybe your heart rate has started to rise up a little bit, so tuning back into that slow breath, those big inhales, big exhales. Head is heavy, shoulders are relaxed. If you were in your child's pose, make your way back into a downward facing dog. With an inhale, lift up the right leg, 3-legged dog. As you exhale, bend the right knee, sweep the right hand to replace the right, sweep the right foot to replace the right hand at the front of the mat. Drop the left knee down. Inhale, coming up to the center with the hands, bring the arms up overhead. Interlace the fingers, and then place the interlaced hand onto that right leg. Really push the hands into that right leg. Your left toes are going to untuck, so the back of that left foot is pressing down into the mat. I'm going to start to wake up the quads here. So take all of the weight into the right heel, so you're really pressing into the right heel. From here, you can either keep that left knee down or keeping the back of the left foot pressing down into the mat. Start to lift up that left knee. This is going to really start to burn in that right leg. If you can't feel it, press into that right heel even harder. If you want a little bit more, bring the hands up overhead. Keep breathing. We'll hold it here for another 3 breaths. Another 2. And 1. Release that left knee down if you had it lifted. Place the hands onto the hips. Tuck the left toes, so the left toes are coming underneath the foot. I'm going to send the hips up and back, finding a stretch for that right hamstring. So just shuffle the right foot forwards if you need. Point the right toes up towards the sky. Hands can either stay on the hips. You can bring the hands down towards the mat. Or if you've got books, then you can use them just to place your hands on. So you should feel this stretch, the back of that right leg. Make sure that the hips are square, that the hips haven't started to track forwards or backwards. Both hips want to be facing the front of the mat. Lengthen in through the spine. It's really easy in this position to round the back to get your nose closer to your leg, but really lengthen up the spine and think about pushing your bum backwards. So if you place one hand on your belly and one hand on your back, your hand on your belly wants to move down, whilst the hand on your back wants to move upwards. This is really going to intensify that stretch in that right leg. I'll take 2 more breaths here. With every inhale, think about lengthening the spine. With every exhale, try and relax into this stretch a little bit more. Slowly making your way out of this stretch, so wiggling the right foot back into your runner's lunge position. Keep blocks nearby because we're going to do it on the other side anyway, so just keep them to the side of the mat. Place both hands alongside that right foot. Tuck the left toes, lift the left leg, step the right foot back to meet the left leg. Chaturanga, hips and chest lower down to the mat at the same time. Keep the elbows tucked in. Untuck the toes, inhale to lift up the chest. As you exhale, bring the chest back down towards the mat, tuck the toes, pressing up through your plank into a downward facing dog. Inhale, lift up the left leg. As you exhale, bend the left knee, sweep that left leg up high, the hips are high, shoulders are stacked over the wrists, and then we place the left foot down to place the left hand at the front of the mat. Drop the right knee down. Inhale, bring the hands up, interlace the fingers, and then press the left hand into that left leg and really bend into that left knee. Untuck the right toes, so the back of that right foot is pressing down into the mat. Drive through the left heel, so really press into that left heel, squeeze your bum, squeeze every muscle that you've got. You can either stay here or start to hover the right knee off the mat. Really pressing through that left heel if you want more. Hands come up overhead. Holding it here, squeeze your bum for 3 breaths. Another 2. Last one, drop that right knee down, tuck the right toes, hands come onto the hips, and then we just send the hips backwards and point the left toes upwards to find that hamstring stretch on the left side. Grab any props that you need to use, or you want to use, and just take any adjustments just to find comfortable as you can be, position in this position. So checking that the hips are square. The spine is long. Toes are pointing up towards the sky. And then find your breath. So with every inhale, lengthening up through the chest. With every exhale, see if you can relax into this hamstring stretch a little bit more. You might find that you've got one side that's easier than the other one, or a little bit more flexible than the other, which is completely normal. I'll take 2 more breaths here. So just notice if you started to round in the back. If you have, place one hand on your belly, one hand on your back. Hand on the belly moves down, hand on the back moves upwards. Slowly start to make your way out of this stretch. Shuffle that left foot in. Place any props to the side. You might need them in a little bit, so keep them nearby. Tuck the right toes, lift the right leg off the mat, step the left foot back to meet the right, and then we'll meet in a downward facing dog or come into a child's position. We'll take 5 breaths here before we start to slow it down, so we've only got a couple more left. So take those big inhales in through the nose. If you want to sigh out the mouth, let the head be heavy, send the shoulders away from the ears. If you're in your downward dog, think about moving the chest back towards the thighs, straightening the legs as much as you can, activating the quads, keeping that length in the spine. So if the back is rounding, just bend the knees, push the bum up a little bit more. If you were in your child's position, make your way into a downward facing dog. We've got one final stretch on each side. So with an inhale, lift the right leg up high, 3-legged dog. As you exhale, bend the right knee. Sweep the right knee towards the right hand. Hollow out the belly, make the hips high. Shoulders stack over wrists, and then place the right foot down to replace that left hand. Drop the left knee down. So we're going to do pigeon stretch. I've got a couple of variations because this is quite an intense stretch. So if you're coming into pigeon, it's a different version than what you will usually do in yoga classes. We're going to try and keep the right shin as parallel, right knee, right ankle parallel next to each other as we can. So first thing to do, shuffle that right foot all the way over to the left side of the mat. And then use your hand, the left hand, to keep that right foot where it is. From here, bring your right hand in front of the right leg, so it's quite far forward. This might be enough of a stretch. We're then going to start to drive that right knee down. If this feels really uncomfortable, then an option from here is to come onto your back instead and take a figure 4 stretch. So right foot is crossing over the left thigh, hands come behind the left leg, or keep the feet flat onto the mat. And just feel into that figure 4 stretch for that right hip. If you're in your pigeon stretch, you might just need to walk that left knee back a little bit more until you can feel a stretch in that right hip. So check that that right foot hasn't started to move back towards your hips. This is not really going to stretch the hips. We want to keep that right shin as parallel with the body as we can do. If there's any knee injuries, so if pigeon is uncomfortable and if that figure 4 stretch is uncomfortable on your back, then what you can do instead is from your tabletop position, cross the right leg over the left leg, both knees are down, and just send the bum up towards the sky. And you'll be here for another 5 breaths, so just make sure that you feel as comfortable as you can do. You can use any bricks in your pigeon stretch, so if you want to place a brick underneath the knee, you can do. Don't be afraid to make quite a big pile of bricks for that right knee. We'll take another 3 breaths. Really slowing the breath down here. We'll slowly start to make our way out of this stretch. So if you're in your pigeon, just start to shuffle the right foot back over to the right side of the mat. If you are on your back, make your way into a downward dog. If you were in your tabletop position, make your way into a downward dog. From your pigeon, step the right foot back to meet the left. Downward facing dog. Same thing on the other side. With an inhale, lift up the left leg. 3-legged dog. As you exhale, bend the left knee. Sweep the left knee forwards, left foot replaces the left hand. Excuse me. Drop the right knee down. So first thing is from here we find our pigeon stretch. So shuffle the left foot across to the right side of the mat. Have any props to hand that you need. From there, allow that left knee to drive down. Try and keep the left foot where it is. If you need to, you can start to shuffle that right foot backwards Again, check that that left shin is parallel with your body and that that left foot hasn't started to come in. So you're not bending that left knee backwards. If this is too much, your options are to either come into your tabletop position, cross the left leg over right, and then push the bum backwards. Or coming onto your back, figure 4 stretch. Left foot crosses over the right thigh, hands come behind the hamstring, the right leg, and then just drive the knees in towards the chest. You can keep that right foot flat down as well if that's comfy. So we'll take 5 breaths, whichever variation you're doing. If it gets too much at any point, then you can always ease back and take a different option instead. Especially if there's any knee injuries. Just make sure if you've got any knee injuries, then stick with that tabletop variation where you've got one leg crossed over the other. Because the leg is at a funny angle in this position. So try and slow the breath down again. We'll take 3 more breaths in through the nose and back out through the nose. Last 2. Start to make your way out of your pigeon stretch. Lift that left knee up, shuffle the left knee, left foot over towards the left side of the mat. And then wherever you are, we'll all meet in a downward facing dog. So take the feet backwards to the back of the mat. Hips come up high into your downward dog. It's the last downward dog. So give the head a shake, a little nod. Shoulders move away from the ears. Spread the hands wide. If you need to take a child's pose, you can do. We are going to jump from our downward dog into Malasana. You don't have to jump. You can always just walk to get there. Your Malasana is a really deep squat, so I'll demonstrate first and then you can give it a go. So we come up onto the tiptoes, bend the knees, looking in between the hands. Think light as you hop both feet to the outside of the hands. And then we'll all meet in our Malasana squat. So again, you can use books for this one as well. If you are struggling to get the depth in this squat, then you can just come and sit on books instead. So you want to think about driving the knees out. This is going to get into the hips. If you don't need books, you don't have to use them. We're just sinking as low as we can into this stretch. Even if you're up here, quite high into this squat, that's fine. That is still going to work on driving the knees out, but it is going to start to burn in the quads quite a lot. So feel free to come and sit on blocks if you need to. The hands can either be at the heart center or make a fist with the hands. Use your elbows to drive the knees out towards the side. You can either stay here or bring the right hand, right forearm alongside the right thigh, and then just reach the left arm up towards the sky. So we're getting quite a little twist into the top of the spine here. Inhale here. And as you exhale, coming back through center, we'll swap sides. This time the left forearm is going to come onto the inside of that left leg. Right arm is going to reach up towards the sky. Keep breathing here. Taking one more inhale in through the nose. And then exhale, coming back into your Malasana squat. We're going to make our way onto our bums. So if you've got any props, just move them out to the side. Just come and sit down onto your bum. We'll find cobbler stretch to finish off with. So if you cobbler stretch, bring the soles of the feet together. Take the knees down by the side. You can sit on pillows here again if the lower back is collapsing. Just find yourself a cushion to sit on. Similarly, if the knees are coming up quite high, get yourself a cushion to sit on or something to sit on. Or take the feet a little bit further forwards. You want to allow the knees to try and drive down past the rib cage. So try not to have your knees any higher than your armpit. If you can reach the feet, grab hold of the feet. If not, grab hold of the shins, the thighs, anything that you can reach. Lengthen up the spine. Take an inhale. And as you exhale, just start to fold forwards over the legs. So we're trying to tilt from the pelvis, tilt from the hips, rather than bending the back. If you've got hold of your feet, you want to try and turn the back of the feet down towards the mat, and the very soles of the feet, try to point them up towards the sky. Drive the knees down towards the mat as much as you can. And find your breath. So we'll take 5 breaths here. Big inhales in through the nose. And big exhales out through the nose. With your exhale, see if you can sink a little bit deeper. And then slowly start to make your way out of the stretch. Use your hands to bring the knees up to the centre. We'll make our way onto our backs, so take the feet as wide as the hips. Knees are bent, hands are alongside the legs. Slowly lowering down onto your backs, 1 vertebrae at a time. Try not to rush. And then hug the knees into the chest, giving yourself a little hug. Start to rock from side to side. Take any last adjustments, any last movements that you want to take. We're all going to do a happy baby, but if there's something else you'd rather do, then feel free to do that instead. For your happy baby, take the knees out wide, bring the hands onto the inside of the legs, then catch hold of the shins, the ankles, the outside of the feet. Just anything that you can grab onto. Start to rock side to side. You can stay still, maybe moving one leg straight, maybe straighten the other leg. And then we will make our way into Shavasana. So take your time to find a comfortable position for your Shavasana. Taking the legs either out long or bending the knees, having the soles of the feet flat onto the mat. It's going to be quite a nice one if there's any tension in the lower back. If you've got a cushion and you want to place the cushion under your head, you can do. Similarly, if there's any tension in the lower back, then sometimes placing a cushion underneath the back of the legs is also quite comfortable, it's quite relaxing, and it takes off a little bit of tension from that lower spine. When you've found a comfortable position, close the eyes. We'll take 2 big breaths together. So take a big inhale in through the nose. Exhale it, excuse me, out through the mouth. We'll do 1 more like that. So big inhale in through the nose. Exhale it out through the mouth. And just start to find stillness for this next couple of minutes. So we'll do a quick body scan to finish off with, as we did at the beginning, starting with the crown of the head. See if you can start to relax the forehead. Softening the little muscles in between the eyebrows. And then moving on to the jaw. Unclench the jaw, relax the jaw. Let your shoulders be heavy. And let the hands, both hands, all 10 fingers, just sink into the mat. Check in with the rib cage, upper body, noticing whether the breath is any deeper, whether it's slowed down naturally. If you have any breath control, just come back to your natural breath. Checking in with the lower spine. See if you can release any tension from the lower back. And then finally checking in with the legs, the hips, the lower body, and see if you can just let the legs, the feet sink into the mat. Just finding complete stillness for this next couple of minutes.
start to notice if the mind has started to wander off. If it has, excuse me, bring your mind, your attention back to your breath, back to your body. And slowly start to wake the body up. So make micro movements, wiggle fingers, wiggle toes. Take a long pencil stretch. Hands come up overhead. Extend the legs out long. Draw the knees into the chest. Give yourself a hug. Rocking onto either your left side or your right side. Finding a fetal position. And then take your time to make your way up to a comfortable seated position, either sat on the knees or sitting cross legs. Trying to keep the eyes either soft or closed. Bring the hands up high, take the arms up overhead. Press the hands together above your head. And then bring the hands down into the centre of the chest, into the heart centre. Bow your head down, drop the chin down towards the chest. Thank yourself for taking an hour out of your Tuesday morning to come and practice. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you have a wonderful rest of Tuesday, wonderful rest of week. Namaste. Thank you for joining me, guys. Hope you have a great rest of Tuesday. And I'll see you next week. Let me know if you've got any questions or anything